So we're going to be talking specifically about authentic lead generation, which if you've heard the event that I do called the Conscious Business Forecast, you're going to understand why that is so important for it to be authentic. And by the way, you can attend all of our events for free. We're very much a giving community, and our business training is phenomenal. The free training is phenomenal, obviously. And the Conscious Business Forecast, if you have not attended that, I highly recommend you attend that because it's going to describe a lot of what's happening in the world right now and why there's so much conflict and why it seems like things are going in these very weird directions. There's some data that's going to back up why that is. So if you haven't attended the Conscious Business Forecast, highly recommend it. The purple ones represent things that are more on the personal feel side. So we'll be talking on April 24th about purpose and profit and how to bring those two together so that you can experience both. So again, these are all free events that you can attend. If you don't know ShiftCo, we train conscious entrepreneurs how to grow their business and maximize their impact. 85.7% of our members double their business. Typically in the first year. We're very proud of that. And what we believe is that when you double a conscious business, you triple its impact. And I believe very strongly in that. How I got to this is I've had multiple large exits, which means I've sold companies that I've built, including an IPO, an internet company that did an IPO on NASDAQ. In 2009, I had this crazy idea. I sold my last business, started over, and said, I want to use my business growth skills to do good and make money. I created a purposeful Shark Tank, basically, called Share on Purpose. We have a speculator fund that invests in conscious ideas. An example of that is Your Izzy. It is the first zero waste makeup line. So that's an investment. Today, there are lots and lots of really cool things to invest in that make the world better. We also have what we call the cultivator, where we create our own companies. That started first with Succeed on Purpose and then a variety of on-purpose brands. And then in 2018, some of my customers asked me to create ShiftCo. We launched ShiftCo in 2020. So that's the backdrop. Let's shift over to you, though. What is the hardest part of building your business? Lots of things are hard, but I'd love to know what you think is the hardest. And Lisa is going to help me put in the chat what you think the hardest part is, and Lisa's going to shout them out. So Lisa, what do we have in the chat?
All right, nothing coming in just yet. Getting the word out, recurring revenue, staying focused. Awareness.
Excellent. Most people say gaining new clients. What I love about what you guys said is several of you hit on the real problem is not gaining new clients. The real problem is we need more people aware that our business exists, and we need more people interested in buying from us. That's the real challenge. We all want more clients, but the real challenge is we need more people to be aware that we exist and to be interested in buying from us. And the reason why gaining new clients and growing revenue and growing the business seems hard is because we're not necessarily good yet at building the awareness side of the business. And again, I want to applaud the people that hit that nail on the head. We got to get the word out. You need 3 to 10 times more potential buyers to be aware that you exist than you have today. 3 to 10 times more. I'm going to give you some statistics to back that up. But today, what we're going to talk about is how do we actually make this easier? How do we make it more authentic? How do we make it more scalable? Now, let's first start with what you've already tried. So if you're here, you're either just starting or you've been doing your business for a while. Some of you have been doing it for a long while. What have you actually tried? Go ahead and drop that in the chat.
Social media and networking. Webinars, newsletters, blogging, website, social media, email
Awesome.
lists.
Perfect. So I want to ask a question, and that is, I don't want you to answer in the chat. Did it work? And then why or why not? I just want you to think about that. Part of the challenge that entrepreneurs have is we become what's called solution obsessed. Solution obsessed is, I'm going to try that, 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 I'm going to try that. And what we never really take the time to do is to really define what the root cause is of whatever the challenge is. We just start trying stuff. And then what happens is we're kind of waiting on the magical marketing fairy dust to, take over. And we think that this program is going to fix it or that tool is going to fix it. And it never really does. And so what I want to encourage you, the most important lesson I've learned, I'm now on my third decade of entrepreneurship. The most important lesson I've learned is there's not a one size fits all, it works for everyone strategy or tool. It just doesn't work that way. And it's even more true today when there's new social media platforms popping up and new tools popping up and now AI. There are all of these different ways to get there. And what I want to show you is a methodology to figure out what's going to work for you and your business and to figure out how to make that more authentic. So we'll talk about growth and why it matters. We're going to talk about authentic marketing and lead generation. We're also going to talk about how to overcome the resistance to doing what you need to do. And then we're going to talk about these 4 phases of generating demand so people want to buy from you. So we've studied the members in our community. We've had over 400 people join Shiftco, and 85.7% of them have doubled their revenue. And these are businesses all size. We've had people join us that are 1 million, 2 million, and they went to 4, another one went to 10, all the way to people starting. And they actually have 4 things in common. One, they're committed to personal growth. And the reason why that is important is our business grows as we evolve. That was a really hard lesson for me to learn is I was a marketer in corporate America and then a marketing and sales executive. And so I wasn't about becoming better. I was more about growing faster. But personal growth is part of it. Second is really purpose, where the business has meaning to it. The third is critical, and that is learning how to communicate about the value that you provide rather than what you do. Too often we're focused on what we do and our title and the name of the business, and we don't speak enough about the value that we provide. And by the way, there's a great session on our YouTube page called Ditch the Pitch. And I would encourage you to check that out because that's learning how to communicate the value that you provide. And then the last part is that the business and the founder actually wanted to grow their business. Believe it or not, some people don't really want to grow their business. They're really resistant to it. So what we found is the 85.7% of members who've doubled their business had these 4 things in common. Now, why that matters is when your business grows, your impact increases. And what I love about working with conscious founders is your business it needs to pay the bills, it needs to provide some financial freedom, but it also seems to matter. And that notion of making an impact is really the core thread of the people that we serve. So when you break down a new business demand strategy, so that's leads, a lead generation strategy, but it's a lead generation strategy that duplicates itself. That's what demand is. It means it continues and continues. And my leads refer leads to me, and my clients refer leads to me. That's what we're really talking about here with this component. And of a new business demand generation strategy, there's 3 things that you actually have to have. The first one is most important. Then that's the awareness. Remember, I mentioned you need 3 to 10 times more of your target market to be aware than you have today. That's a lot. Second is they need to be interested, so you attract more leads. And third is you need to convert them into sales. So those are the 3 components you have to have. I have measured this ad nauseum for my own companies as well as the members we serve, and I call it measure what matters. And what I can tell you in the B2B space, for every 10 to 100 clicks or connects, so a click would be a click on your website or a social page. Connect is, I want to have a conversation with you. 10 to 100 is the minimum per month that you need to have to get 2 to 5 leads that are interested in buying from you, to get 1 to 2 new sales per month. That's for B2B. Okay. So think about how many sales you want this year. How many leads then would you need to have? Whatever the sales number is, double and triple the number of leads. But then that awareness, you see that big number for awareness? At a minimum, I need 10 people to be aware to get 2 leads to get 1 that buy. Most of the time, depending on your website, you need 100 people to be aware to get 5 leads interested to get 2 sales. That's really the tricky part. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today with lead generation, is really how do you grow awareness? It's a little bit different on B2C. It's actually a lot more awareness. So for B2C brands, Your Izzy, the zero waste makeup line, we do all of their marketing as part of the investment. And just, I love this product, absolutely love it. And it's 100% zero waste, 100% recyclable. It's steel, high quality. We need 1,000 clicks per month to get 20 people to drop the product in the cart to get 2 people that'll actually buy it. And that, the part of it that feels hard is the awareness part is the hard part. And it's the thing that we don't spend enough time on. We want to work with leads and get sales, but we don't spend enough time on the awareness part. It's really the awareness. You've got to have more conversations. You've got to put yourself out there more than you are today. That's the key. And so I want you to kind of evaluate for you, which of these needs improvement. Almost all of the businesses that I work with, both in my marketing companies as well as in Shifco, is awareness. Sometimes it's not that, but most of the time it's awareness. So today we're going to be focused predominantly on awareness and a little bit on interest, but you can use those data points to kind of assess where you are. Now, the first time that I started studying these statistics, I was really like freaked out, and I was like, I became an entrepreneur several decades ago, a long time ago. And I was like, how on earth am I going to do this? I've got to attend all these networking events and I'm a huge introvert. How is this going to happen? And it was very daunting. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by how much awareness you need, it's okay. We're going to give you some tools to help you make it easier. But it is the type of thing you've got to be growing awareness, and you've got to be doing it every single day. That's where we'll focus today. Now, another way to look at this is through a typical marketing funnel. And in a marketing funnel starts with awareness. They have to be aware that you exist before they can be interested in what you have to offer and say. And this is where we get frustrated is, I want to go and I want to talk to you and I want you automatically to be interested. That is what sets you up for a feeling of failure, is when you assume that everyone you're going to have a conversation with is going to be interested. The vast majority of people you have a conversation with are not going to be interested, which is why you need more people to be aware. Then they need to actually need and want what it is that you do. And that's where you can see the drop off. And that's why it's known as a funnel. And then they need to be willing and able, which means they need to be able to afford to take action on their desire. And the problem with most lead generation campaigns and strategies is the goal is to get someone to buy. And that is very inauthentic if you think about it. We've all experienced it. You attend a free webinar like this and you're waiting for the sales pitch, right? Because that's what most people do. Or you download a tool and then you get 15 emails trying to get you to buy. Not only does that strategy not work, but it works less today than it ever has. And in the next year, my prediction is it's going to work even less, because buyers want authenticity. They want a relationship with the people and the customers, and the interaction between the customer and the brand. So if your goal when you attend a networking event is to get someone to buy, or your goal when you're speaking or doing a webinar or being on a podcast is to get someone to buy, that's a very inauthentic reason. And I want to help you change that, and so that you can begin to look at lead generation in a more authentic way. If you can tweak the way you're thinking about it, you'll get much better results. And if you get much better results, it's a lot more fun. So how do we do that? Well, I call it authentic demand generation because it serves the buyer before they buy, where you're building a relationship with them. And sometimes people think it's about giving away free stuff. Not necessarily. Sometimes they think it's about, doing things, for free. Not necessarily. It's really the intent that you have. And the intent, we have to kind of tune out that old way of trying to get someone to buy and tune in. How can I serve you until you are ready to buy? Any of the Shifco members, if you talk to them, they will tell you that they went through this exact journey where they attended a free event. I never ask them to buy. I never tell you, today's special is whatever, but they will feel my intention. They will sense the genuineness of being willing to serve you until you're ready to buy. Now, my expectation is everybody's going to buy from me someday because I'm confident. I know that my stuff is good, but I'm never going to try to get someone to buy. I'm simply going to serve them until they're ready to buy. Now, don't think for a second that takes too much time. It does not. It's just learning how to do it in a way that works for you and a way that serves your buyer, which I want to show you how to do today. So where I had my breakthrough moment, I mean, keep in mind I'm 60 this month, so I've been doing sales and marketing for a long time, and I was always known as the person you went to grow. Like, Terry's going to grow your company. I mean, I was all about the growth of every company that I ever worked for, even my own businesses. They grew really fast. So I started this conscious shark, purposeful Shark Tank, and I couldn't get it to grow. And the reason why I couldn't get it to grow is because I was focused on getting people to buy. I had to completely relearn the way I thought about marketing. And after the first 18 months of horrible failure, I said, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I got to start over from scratch. And I just began to think about relationships and said, what are the series of relationship steps that I'm going to have with my buyer? So I started first with awareness. And I began to think of, you know what? I need more friends. I need to be connected to more people. So I began to network differently. I began to network on social media differently. And I simply looked for people that I could connect with and get to know. I was not looking for clients. Even though I was losing a lot of money, I just said, you know what, I gotta dial this in differently. I'm just gonna grow my friend group. And then I said, okay, of those friend groups, some people are going to be interested in what I have to offer and say. I'm not going to worry about the ones that are not. I'm going to focus on the ones that are interested. I like to think of those as followers. And so I began to develop some followers, some people that were interested in what I had to offer and say. Over time, a portion of those wanted to buy. Those become fans, where they try something once, or they buy once. They're fans. And then ultimately, if it's good, if what you try is good, people will evolve into a fanatic. And what you want to get more leads is not just more people that are aware. You want fanatics and fans, so that those people will share what you're doing with others. So what we're trying to really build is a way to not just get clients, but to grow the awareness and to serve those people in a very efficient way, so that you get more followers, then you get more fans. And then if your service or product is good, like this Izzy makeup line, I now have every one of these products. I pay for it every quarter, comes in. I love the makeup. I love the skin. I love the brow. I love the mascara. I have every single line they have as a consumer because it was so good that I'm now a fanatic. And not only do I share it, but I invested in it. So what we're doing is we're going to build a system starting first with awareness where we focus each step on building a relationship with the buyers. And it doesn't necessarily take more time. You just have to think about it in a different way. So here's what that looks like. Rather than thinking of a funnel, we're going to think about building relationships with our buyer. What does a friend do? They meet you at a networking event. They click on something you post. What does a follower do? Now they're connecting with you. They're starting to pay attention to what you're doing. They want to learn more. That's the awareness and interest. By the way, that's marketing, and awareness is key. And that's the part that takes time. And that's the part that is frustrating. But I can tell you, if you get great at marketing, but you don't make it be about the relationship, you're not going to get people to buy. I really want to put a pin in that. Your marketing has to be focused on building a relationship with people, or it's not going to work. On the desire and act side, those are typically selling. This is where a purchase is made. Somebody attends, they make a purchase. And when they become a fanatic, they are buying and sharing and referring. And I think it's like 92% of our members were referred by another member. They're fanatics, and they bring us new business because, not just because what we do is good and it works, but because the way that we market is authentic. That is the ding, ding, ding. I hope that the aha moment is kicking off, is as you grow awareness and as you build this system out, which we'll be talking about today, when people actually buy from you, if it's a good experience, they're going to be more willing to share what you're doing because they know that you're not going to hard sell somebody else. The reason why most businesses don't get enough referrals is because they're afraid you're going to hard sell somebody. The last thing I'd like to point out here, and then we're going to go into some strategies and how to do it, is where your time should be spent. 70% of your time as a founder, of the time you spend on marketing, needs to be spent on awareness building. We're going to talk about how you do that in a minute. Then 25% of your time should be spent on serving people and getting them interested. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I've got some other training I can point you to for that. Believe it or not, only 5% of your time should be spent on fans. And the fanatic is obviously when they're already a customer. And for most people, they have this the reverse, is they want to spend 70% of their time selling and 30% of their time on marketing. It should be the reverse. You want to spend 95% of your time on the marketing functions and 5% on the selling part. And if you do that, you're going to get much better results. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we actually put this system in place? So it's 3 steps. The first one is, where is your customer? This is where most people go wrong when they're doing lead generation, is they post on social media and they think that that's going to work. It doesn't, because those people are already aware. When we're talking about true awareness, we need new people to be aware. So we have to go to them. And again, we're going to go through some of the strategies, but when I'm going to a networking event, if I already know everybody at the networking event, that's not brand awareness. You want to go to places where your target market is, but where you're going to meet new people. If you're doing podcasts, you don't want to only be on podcasts where you already know the people on the podcast. You want to get on podcasts where you're going to meet new people. If you're posting on social media, those people are already aware. How can you share those posts in groups where people are not yet aware that you exist? Because you have to go to where they are. That is the biggest mistake that I see people make, is they just do things like posting, and those people are already aware and they think they're marketing, but they're not. All you're doing is reminding people that you're there, but new people are not becoming aware. The second thing is a set of activities that you will commit to doing. My secret there is, don't do anything you don't enjoy. For example, I'm a huge introvert and I do not like going to in-person networking events. It's really hard for me to do because it takes a lot of energy. And even though I'm outgoing, it drains me. So I limit my in-person networking to just a few things every year that I do that are really meaningful to me. But I do like virtual networking. So I do a lot of virtual networking. I'm on Alignable. I'm in several Facebook groups. I'm in several LinkedIn groups. That's good for me because I enjoy it. So I'm going to be doing activities that I enjoy, that feed my soul, that feel good to me. I'm not going to be doing, some system that somebody says you have to do it this way. I just don't believe that. And then third is it's really about growing the relationship. The reason why we get worn out is because we're focused on trying to get people to buy versus the relationship. And the way that you focus on the relationship is you focus on their problems, not what you do. So think about how we opened this webinar. After I gave you a brief intro, I started talking about what are the challenges that you have and why is this so hard? So by focusing on your problems, that is the beginning of strengthening the relationships. Another way to think about it is just serve your friends passionately. So I want to focus on the where and the what in terms of where you go and how do you actually do it. So I break this down. I'm just a big believer in giving people as many options as possible. And so this is kind of like a little map of some very basic things that you can do. The first part of the map is in the category that I call a priority channel. What a priority channel is, every business I start, we start with these priority channels. And I always start in the same place, what I call BST activities, blood, sweat, and tears. For blood, sweat, and tears, the priority is approach people you know. You can offer free and discount trials. You can also, this is going to sound crazy, but you can make little leave behind cards. I do this for two of my businesses, Shipco and Succeed on Purpose. Everywhere I go, I carry these with me and they have a little QR code. There's no offer. There's no hard promotion. It's an inspirational quote. And there's a QR code to encourage people to visit the website. And I leave probably 50 to 100 of these out anywhere I go, the shopping cart. I'll leave it in a dressing room. If I go out to dinner, I leave it on the counter. Believe it or not, that's a really effective thing that you do. I can't even begin to tell you how many leads I got from something as simple as this. So these are like the basic things to start with. For those of you that are brand new, it's a great place to start. The second is relationship activities. If you like being in physical contact, live networking, you want to double down on that. If you're more extroverted, you should do at least one live networking event each week. If you're more of an introvert, do online things. And in my case, I use LinkedIn and Facebook groups. And so relationship activities are about the relationship. And by the way, if that's important to you, I have a whole list of places that you can network. If that is fun for you, you can email me and I'll give you that list for you. Referral activities, this is also something I think most of us don't do enough, and that is to find ways to ask for referrals. And by asking for referrals in an authentic way, your business will grow. All right, those are all what I call fruit on the ground. There's low-hanging fruit and fruit on the ground. Those are like fruit on the ground. At a bare minimum, everybody should be doing those. The next group are more of the low-hanging fruit. So blog posts and webinars and tools. You're attending a webinar today and somebody either told you about the webinar or you saw it on Eventbrite. The reason why Eventbrite works for us is because the people that are on Eventbrite, they don't want to just network, they want training. And I love to train. Needless to say, I do 3 of these free events a month. I love it. It feeds my soul. It's not work to me. And so we just promote those webinars on Eventbrite because I enjoy doing it. Like I would do it anyway. I'm not doing it for the leads. I'm doing it because I care and I'm doing it because I want to. So I'm hoping you're beginning to think about, what do I actually like to do? So if you like doing webinars, do webinars. Start with 1 a month. We started with 1 a month, then 2 a month, and then 3 a month. And promote them in a place that responds to webinars like Eventbrite or Alignable. And by the way, a lot of the times you can do that for free. You don't even have to pay a whole lot to do that. If you like to write, do blog posts, same thing. Digital and social activities, doing daily posts and tips. The secret to this is to not post about what you do, but to speak to the problems your buyer has. Right now, that is paramount because the world is kind of being turned upside down, and people are there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of anxiety. Speak into that. Give 3 tips of what somebody can do in your industry. Are you struggling with? Is it time to? Do you wish you had? Start your posting and your tips about their problem, not what it is that you do. And then for those that like speaking, start speaking for free. That was where I started when I first became an entrepreneur. Is I just said, okay, where can I go to speak for free, and start with some free programs. Again, you don't have to do that for very long. It just kind of primes the pump. So this is a starter list of things that you can all do, and you can do it very quickly. The next level up is what I call partner channels. Partner channels are when you're in community with an organization and you start looking for ways that you can partner with each other. Now, the key to that is you need the right partners. A lot of times, two companies will come together to partner, and neither of their businesses are scaling, and they're both hoping the other partner gets them there. It really needs to be somebody that has is a going concern and that can actually bring value that you can match. And if partnering is something that is important to you, let me know. And I've got a little toolkit that I can give you on partnerships. The other thing you can do is trade services. I'm a big believer in that. It keeps your overhead costs low. Trade services with somebody. That's a BST type of activity. You can say, hey, you do social media, I do this. I'll manage your website if you manage my social media. And the next thing you know, you're getting things done and growing your business. Alliance partners are also effective. Alliance is kind of like one step up, and where you're creating a win-win. Alliance partners work when you serve the same demographic. An example of alliance would be a CPA and a wealth planner coming together, and they've got a customer group that's overlapping, and they're going to create win-win from that. Referral activities, you can give partner discounts, you can give gets. Educational activities. By the way, there's tons of opportunities to be on somebody's show, radio, or podcast. The secret to that is follow the people that are in your target market and look to see what shows and radio and podcasts they're on, and go pitch yourself to be on those shows. That's fun for you. You can also do online partnerships. You can also do event sponsorships. Usually at that point, you've got to start paying. And then that's typically what I say is kind of the next level up. Paid is always a last resort. Usually I will say don't pay until your business is at least 50 to 100K a year. Then you should start paying, because a lot of these other activities, if you'll just put a little elbow grease in them, can get you there. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I'm going to put the list back up here and you may think of some more, is I want you to choose 3. And I'm going to give you about a minute to do that you think, I think I'd like to do that. And I used to do it, but I don't do it anymore. I'm going to get back to doing it. I want you to have at least 3. That's the secret, is having at least 3. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose those 3. These are activities I would enjoy, and you're going to repeat them. And it's the repetition that makes it work. It's not the activity itself. It's the repetition. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And so I know I love to speak. I know I love educational activities, and I know I love virtual networking. Guess what I do every single week? I speak, I do events like this, and I do virtual networking every single week. And it's the first thing that is on my priority list for the week, is making sure that those things happen. We'll talk about the priorities here in a second. Okay. So that's an example to get you started. And again, that's just a starter list. There's lots of other ideas that you have. What I want to talk about next is how to overcome resistance. So far, there's probably not too many things that I've said that you probably didn't already know. It's not rocket science. We just tend to think about it a little differently with our authentic demand system. But what I want to talk through next is this idea of resistance. What happens is we resist what we know we should do. For example, we know we should eat healthy. Sometimes we resist that. We know we should work out. Sometimes we don't stick to that. The same thing is true with doing demand generation activities. And the key to that, you have to break through the resistance. It's the same thing with eating healthy and working out. Is when I've had something happen in my life and I didn't work out for 3 to 4 weeks. And the first time I went back to the gym, it was like, oh, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, I was back into the habit of doing it. It's the same thing with demand generation. When you first start, whether you're starting out from scratch or you've been doing it for a while and you got frustrated and stopped, you're going to feel a lot of resistance. So you're going to have to break through that. And my mantra is you're either in the habit of doing it or you're in the habit of not doing it. There's no middle ground here. You're either in the habit of doing demand generation or you're in the habit of not doing demand generation. You get to choose. So, some strategies to break the resistance. Number one is focus on things that you enjoy. The reason why demand generation isn't hard for me is because the things that I do, I really like to do. And it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like fun. It feels like, wow, I could do this all day long. Second is stop thinking about it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people overthink their social media calendar, obsess over the perfect post. Which networking thing should I go to? Well, just go and see if your target market's there. And if they're not, go to another one. And to get out of the mode of overthinking or what should I say or how should I say it, just stop that and just get in the habit of doing. Same thing with working out. If you overthink going to work out or gosh, I got to get the perfect menu plan to eat healthy, then you never really change your behavior. There's a lot of science that's coming to play right now, a lot of brain science, that it's really what motivates us is not so much goals as it is completion of actually doing things. And I find this to be very true with demand generation is if you can just set some steps, I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute, and just start doing them, you're going to start feeling motivated, not because you got an instant result, but because you actually did what you said you were going to do. Third is schedule large time blocks and force yourself to do it. When I first am working on demand generation, every day I have a 2-hour time block for demand generation. And when I'm first doing it with a new business and I'm uncertain, I have a 2-hour time block, not a 30-minute time block, not a 1 minute, but a 2-hour time block. Guess what? The first 30 minutes, I'm procrastinating, I'm overthinking, I'm dabbling, I'm back to my email because I'm resistant. So plan for that resistance and schedule more time to do it. Fourth is find an accountability partner and do the activities together. Lisa, make a note that there's a spelling error on that. I'm a big believer in this. It's one of the things that we work on in Shifco is getting you with accountability partners so that you can do the activities together. We have little pod groups that work together to grow their business, and they hold each other accountable. And then reward the doing versus the outcome. This is critical for demand generation and lead generation is we want to get the sale. When our focus is on getting the sale, we're not rewarding the actual doing of the activity of awareness building. So celebrate. I said I was going to do these 3 things this week. I did them. Celebrate. The sales will come when you have the demand generation activities going. Last but not least, and then I'll stop the recording and we'll take some questions, is to master these 4 phases so people want to buy. So come back to this for just a second. The bulk of what you've got to spend time on is awareness building. You need 3 to 10 times more people aware that you exist than you have today, 3 to 10 times more. And then a portion of those are going to be interested. And what you're really trying to do is trying to spend the bulk of your time here on the awareness and interest side. And if you do that, you're going to have people that want to buy from you. And most of the time, we think we should be spending time on the selling. I can tell you that if you really double down and put most of your time into the marketing side of awareness and interest, you're going to have people that want to buy from you. It's a heck of a lot more rewarding when you do that. And my secret to success is I become great at awareness and interest. And then I wait until people want to buy. And then I don't have to ever sell. I don't have to feel like I'm trying to get somebody to buy, because I'm great at the awareness and interest, and all of my time and all of my intention and all of my effort goes into awareness and interest. That's the key. And by mastering those first two phases, the customers will ultimately come to you. But when we're focused on getting customers and getting people to buy, we're not focused on what really causes the business to grow, and that's the awareness and interest side. So it's really about finding more friends. And to do that, you need to know where your buyer is now, and you've got to go there versus just posting where people already know you. You want to think about the information you can share that will help them, not what you do. Too often when I look at social posts, people are talking about what they do and why it matters. Stop doing that. Instead, focus on, are you struggling with time to? Do you wish you had? Have you ever thought about? You really want to focus on their problem, not what it is that you do. And then this idea of serving them until they are ready to buy. And again, don't think that it takes long. It takes me 3 hours a month to serve leads. And 3 hours a month of all of the time that I spend in sales and marketing is 3 hours a month to serve leads and 3 hours a month to do these events. That's it. And by doing those things, I always have a group of people that want to buy, and I'm just going to wait until they're ready to buy. So that idea, it's not like it takes a lot of time. We just think we have a story that in our head that it does. It really doesn't. If you set it up and you do it diligently and repeat it, it won't take that much time. And then a couple of examples. The way to really think about this, serving before you buy, what do your clients need before they buy a product or service similar to yours? So think about that for just a second. For us, it's these training events. Like, we offer all of these different training events, and our training events are better than most people's paid events, and they're free. And so we do that because, one, I care about you growing your business. I care genuinely, and I will do whatever I can to help you grow your business, even if you're not a member of ShiftCo. People sense that from me. And that is not hard to do if you can make it repeatable. Another example is for one of my other businesses, Succeed on Purpose. I was finding I was doing a lot of these free consults with people, and it was taking up a lot of time. And so I said, well, what if there was a way to build a quick little tool and a little free assessment that I could offer people? That business gets over 50 leads a month, and we do zero actual marketing. We actually had our marketing off for the last 18 months, and we get 50 leads a month because people share these assessments because the assessments are insightful. It takes me zero time once they were set up, but they're super insightful. And I don't have to do the consult part of it, So if you're finding yourself doing a lot of consults, turn it into an assessment. There are lots of really simple tools that help you do that. And think about what your buyer needs before they buy, not how to get them to buy from you, but what do they need? In this case, we found that people needed to know what their business persona was. They needed to know the fear that was holding them back, and then the career persona. I think we have 6 of these now. And again, this idea that, I have to do all of this extra stuff is just not true. You really don't have to do those things. What you're looking for is things that you can do that, like those assessments that, hang on one second. Those assessments that once you have them set up, they propagate. And I shared them a couple of times. We send them to our database, but most of the time other people share them because they're insightful. And guess what? A portion of those people buy from that brand. By the way, this is, something, the Izzy I told you about, that's one of our investments. One of the things that we did with them is a little calculator that calculates how much waste you're putting into the world, with your beauty routine. That's an example. It's super powerful. So we said, what's the environmental impact of your beauty routine? Izzy gets tons of leads. People share this because they care about the environment. That's an example. One of my other clients is Acme Brick, and they created a tool that did the same thing as well. So it really isn't complicated, but it does require the discipline to actually do it. And so if you're sharing tips and tools with your current clients, they're going to be reminded to share it with others because it's a very authentic relationship. What I find is my leads refer me leads because the things that we offer of value are so good. My clients bring me leads. And then by me being out there and meeting new people and just sharing these things that I'm already doing that I love to do that are not effort for me, the business actually grows. So, as I mentioned, you can attend any of our events. I highly recommend the Conscious Business Forecast. It's going to give you incredible hope. It's based on a lot of data about why the time is now for values based business models to prevail and what the data says about that. And then more on the personal feel side, we have purpose and profit coming up. How do you bring those two together? That's on April 24th. You can attend any of our events for free. We love to serve you in any way possible. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and take any individual questions you have.